In our bite-sized Bible series, we're currently talking about living the dream, where people had waited over 600 years since Isaiah had prophesied that there would be a forerunner coming to prepare the way for the Messiah. And we see in Luke chapter 3 that clearly John is being presented as the forerunner, as that person who's coming to make that 600-year way to reality. Jesus is sending his royal herald ahead of him to announce the royal arrival. But the values and the preparation that John is introducing us to prepare for the king differ from what we might do when we prepare to meet a king. Because whilst many of the preparations we would have to meet royalty are outward preparations, John's emphasis is about inner preparation to meet with the king. But Luke does a little bit more than the other Gospels. All four Gospels want us to understand that John is the forerunner. But Luke goes further than that because he actually unpacks a little bit more of Isaiah's prophecy. He talks about clearing the roads, filling the valleys, levelling the mountains, straightening the curves, smoothing out the rough places. And what he's describing is a construction project. Where we live here in Lancaster, I'm less than a mile away from one of the largest construction projects undertaken in the UK in modern years, the Bay Gateway. It's a 4.8 kilometre, 3 mile link road that links Heysham and Morecambe to the M6. And the Bay Gateway began as a project. It was first proposed in 1948. And in 1948 it was part of what was called a road plan for Lancashire. But it didn't happen. And it was revived in 1962 as part of a Lancashire development plan. But it was subject to debate for the next 32 years, until in 1994 it had been partially built, but it left the final part unfinished. Planning permission was finally given for that last part of the road project in 2008. And I watched, just up the road from me, vehicles would go past my house. They created new bridges, they rediverted roads, they had so much earth movement, they must have shifted millions of tons of earth to create a new way through to connect these two roads. And finally, on the 31st of October 2016, at an estimated cost just short of £124 million, they created this final link road. Something that was first mooted in 1948 had taken 70 odd years to come to fulfilment. What we saw for the Bay Gateway was a major access plan to create access, to connect people with a new access. And what John is describing here is about creating a new way of accessing the relationship with God. He's talking about a major remodelling project. He's probably influenced by looking at the Romans. Remember that we talked about the influences on a prophet that he sees with the eyes of the prophet. And he would have seen, growing up in the Roman area ruled by Pontius Pilate, he would have seen the Roman engineering projects remodelling the landscape in order to make access possible, creating a straight road from A to B in order to create the fastest possible route for somebody to get from one place to another. And John's taking that imagery and he's talking about creating access to the King of Kings, making the effort to prepare the way for the King to come, doing this engineering project, remodelling the landscape that it might be possible for the King to come and for us to meet him. In the Old Testament, David, when he undertook the monster building project for the temple, he actually said, when he was offered the land for free, I won't sacrifice something that costs me nothing. He placed a value on creating somewhere to meet with God. And it's very easy for us to become complacent about our relationship with God. But John makes it clear that there was a sense of undertaking a major project, a major engineering work to Make it possible for God to access us and for us to access God. Removing the barriers that get in the way. How easy do we make it for people to access God? How easy do we make it for ourselves to access God? John's emphasis through his message is about removing the obstacles that get in the way of a relationship with God. And I wonder today, what obstacles do you have that get in the way of your relationship with God? But more than that, what obstacles do you put up in the way of other people accessing God?